oil man. I was trying to tell people back during the oil dip in 2020 to get your money, as much of it as you could, to get into oil. It took us almost 2 years. And here we are in 2022, January 30th, going into February. And oil prices right now have climbed back to their highest levels in over 7 years. Now, part of that is due to the inflation due to the Federal Reserve. Part of that is also due to the Russian-Ukraine conflict. So, the explainer wants to talk about why oil prices are so high. Anyone who's bought food, paid rent, or looked for a used car recently has come up against the billowing inflation that has engulfed the U.S. economy. And with surging oil prices keeping gasoline high, so has anyone who's filled up a car. Energy costs have been one of the main drivers of what's becoming the highest inflation in a generation. So here you are, you're a millennial or you're Generation Z. And here I am, I'm a millennial. I was born in 1981. And we were hit with the 9/11 attacks and the recession from that. That was 2001. We were hit with, just a couple years later, 2008, where we had the banking crisis. I don't even want to call that a housing crisis. I really want to call that a banking crisis. Because for the most part, yeah, people were abandoning their houses, but ultimately Congress didn't rescue the people and their houses. They rescued the banks. And so that lets you know right there that when it comes down to a pinch, Congress will always do whatever it takes to protect the banks. They will not allow runs on the mass banks, the biggest banks. They won't allow runs on them. They'll do whatever it takes to protect the banks. So under that knowledge and understanding, it makes it easy for me to be invested in bank stock. I've been investing in bank stock and I've been investing in oil companies since 2007, I believe. The thing about it is only more recently, within the last 2 decades, did I speed up that investment and put more money in. But when you see a huge, how should I say, an opportunity to jump into one of these critical stocks, that's what you got to do. Now, why did I jump into oil stock? And I'll never understand the reason why the media was like talking about gas and oil prices dropping below $1 and dropping below $0. They were talking about it as if gas was never going to come back or as if oil was never going to come back. And I'm like, you'd have to be a fool to think that. It's like the majority of the cars on the road need gas. The majority of the houses need heating oil. So what would make you think that these prices are going to stay low? And then, as you know, with the Democrats and their horrible energy policies and America's racism towards Venezuela, instead of just working with Venezuela to pump their oil out of their ground, what we are doing is we're trying to undermine them by installing puppet governments, i.e. Maduro and Juan Guaido. But most of you don't pay attention to international news, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But maybe you should look it up. And my thing is, we have like the world's largest oil reserve right next door, and we're not even trying to talk to those people. And it reminds me again, and I've mentioned this before, it reminds me of when Bush was in office, and we had the president of Venezuela at the time. He actually had Citgo and Valero offer us gas in order to help people with homes to reduce the cost of their heating oil. And as far as I remember, America as a government, not the people, because you know the people are looking for any handout they can get. The government was basically like, they just turned them down. And I'm like, Chavez, we should have talked to them, but we didn't do it. And now we're trying to install a puppet government there. And we're not doing a good job of that either. So guess what, guys? If you're suffering from gas prices and you're suffering from high home eating, the heating oil, if you're suffering from high prices on that, or if you live in a place where you have to get like propane delivered and you're suffering from high costs, I just want you to know that I'm not. And I told you to get into these stocks a long time ago, and I hope you did it. But see, the problem is I had too many people arguing with me. I had all these people who wanted to put their money into GameStop and to put their money into, what was it called, AMC. Well, yeah, GameStop and everything that Reddit and those idiots in Reddit, those pump and dump scammers, everything they touched went to shit. AMC went up to like $72. Right, fell all the way back down to $15 where it belongs. See, ultimately, I was right. I can't believe I had to argue with all these goddamn people, but I was right. GameStop, $483 high, dropped all the way back to $97. Now imagine all those morons who were determined at $300 to put their money into the shit because they didn't see it was an obvious pump and dump. And I said it so many times. I was online screaming, this is a pump and dump, this is a pump and dump. I was screaming it to these manosphere morons who can't even control their women, not left alone control the stock. And they're up there arguing with me, oh yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, it's not a pump and dump, let's look up the definition of a pump and dump. And look where you are now. Look where you are now. We're going to the moon! We're going to Jupiter! They're yelling at me. Look where you are now. Look where you are now. Now me, I'm an oil man. See, I was betting on oil. I was betting on tech companies. My oil, what was our low? Huh? What was our low? What, $20 up to 31? What was it, 30 up to 44? This is over just 1 year. 35 to 51, 33 to 51, 44 to 75, 84 to 130. Paying dividends, bitch. Who was right? Who was wrong? Oh, no, this is not a pump and dump. This is not a pump and dump. What are you talking about? This is not a pump and dump. You don't know what you're talking about. You stupid. This is not a... Yeah, right. So Chevron CEO says $100 oil may be coming within months. Well, considering we are just getting through a winter where you're paying $3.33 on average for oil to get a gallon of gas. And during the winter months, oil prices are supposed to go down simply because the mixtures that we use to reduce nitrous oxide emissions are more likely to be higher during the summer and more expensive. Well, here you are in the winter, and it's freezing cold, and you're paying top dollar for gas right now, and they're telling you that $100 oil may be coming. This is all, now I know what the Democrats would love to do. They like to blame the Federal Reserve. But the reality is, you don't even have to be a Trump supporter or a Trump hater to remember that while he was in office, his energy policy, I have to say, he was a shitty politician and a shitty showsman, but his energy policy was on point. And I'll be the first to constantly admit it and to call your attention. His energy policy was on point. But see, what the problem is, the Democrats try to create scarcity. And if they create scarcity, what it does is it forces the people to demand that the government involve themselves and do something about it. So what you're doing is you're using the government to try to solve a problem that the government created itself. And again, if I was in office, I'd be like, fuck all that bullshit. We're going to go to our best neighbors who've got plenty of oil, and we're going to pump their oil right from under them. We're going to make friends with them. We're going to give them food, whatever it takes. We'll send them fucking Hostess cakes. If they starving, we'll send them Cheetos. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. But I'll make it so if I was in charge, gas would be a motherfucking $1 a barrel. But guess what? I'm not in charge. You got to deal with shit leaders in your Congress and in your executive branch. Because poor Biden, that man is demented. You already know that. That poor old man, he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. And Kamala Harris, she's the fakest VP ever. She couldn't even run a campaign to get into office. And I knew this was coming, but you had to see it for yourselves. So my bottom line is there are no other leaders who are, how should I say, understanding of the situation enough for me to say, yeah, I'd pick them instead of me. I think I should be in charge. But You know, my thing is, it's like y'all keep electing shit, and you're gonna keep getting shit results. So anyway, Brent crude traded up 1.7 to $90.83 a barrel at 10:58 a.m. in New York, close to a 7-year. All the oil's at a 7-year high. Silver was down. The silver market was down. Now I know a lot of people trying to put money in precious metals, but see, that's where me and somebody like Peter Schiff, that's where we diverge. The problem with Peter Schiff, and I listen to everything he says. I can repeat a lot of the shit he says verbatim. The problem with him is he thinks people are traditional investors. He thinks that they're trying to buy gold and silver and precious metals in order to be a hedge against inflation. That's what he thinks they do, and that's what he thinks they should be doing. The reality is they're not doing that. The reality is these people aren't trying to maintain the wealth of their money because most of them don't have money. The majority of them are trying to gamble. And when they're gambling, what are they gambling on? Well, they're gambling on AMC, and they're gambling on GameStop, and they're gambling on things like BlackBerry and Bed Bath and Beyond. So Reddit convinced these fools to put their money into those stocks, and now they've lost whatever. If they didn't sell immediately, they've lost all of those gains. And anybody who got in to GameStop above $300 because the media was making it seem like it was going to 1,000, those people have lost money. A lot of money, in fact. Shit, if you put $300 in, you've lost over $200 out of that money. Anybody who put their money in the AMC, oh yeah, AMC's going to the moon. We going to the moon. Nope, not really. No, you've lost half your money, or at least half your money. But that's just what it is. And Robinhood, and I have to say, I was wrong about Robinhood. I thought that Robinhood was going to do better than it's doing. Now, I think was it Robinhood or Coinbase? It was one of those two. I think it was Coinbase. No, actually, Robinhood I was right about. When Robinhood came to market, I avoided it, and I even made a video saying I don't think you should trust this IPO. If you want to get into it, you get into it. Now, it was Coinbase that I was wrong about. I thought Coinbase would do better than it's doing. But what I didn't understand until after I saw Coinbase fail was that the crypto market is so volatile that you can't even bet on the crypto market without betting on the crypto market and expect to win. The perfect proof of that are the Bitcoin ETFs that came out to support Bitcoin. ProShares Trust is trading at $23.77, and Valkyrie Trust is trading at $14.71. And those things are severely down from the day that their IPOs came out. So what has that taught me as an investor? Do not bet on IPOs that are not based on proven business models, because the way it's supposed to work, venture capitalists are supposed to put money into a business initially, and that's after the person has come up with this idea for a business, and they've proven that they have a model that works, and they want to expand that business. So what they'll do is they go and they look for these venture capitalists to build the wealth in order to make that business bigger. Once they prove that they can manufacture or do whatever it is they do and make a profit, that's when they take it public. What these guys have been doing, all of these fucking new IPOs are basic. If you look at all of them, look at how poorly they've performed. In fact, I've been putting most of them right here. Wolf, Petco Health. Now, I'm not saying that long term they might not do something, because there is a company behind this that for the most part is a decent company. It sells, pet products. But the bottom line is, these things aren't moving because they require a subscribership that they're not getting and that they don't have. You can't force people to keep coming back here, especially when somebody can go to Costco and buy dog food or cat food, 50-pound bags for like, I don't know, $20 or something. So most of these new IPOs, Robinhood, Coinbase, these IPOs have failed. Even Airbnb. Now, Airbnb is a business that can be replicated because just about anybody can put together a group, that does an Airbnb-like business. And I have to say, there is a lot of money in Airbnb if you're able to rent out property. There is money in Airbnb. The problem is these are all profitless businesses. These things are losing money. This is not a good place to bring to market. This is not a good IPO. None of these are good IPOs, obviously. But what's happened is you've seen a lot of these IPOs brought to market, and they basically become pump and dumps. They run them up real quick, and then somebody hits the sell button, or a bunch of their friends hit the sell button. They walk away as millionaires, and you're fucked, and you're without your money, and you ain't getting it back. And now here you are, you got to file taxes, and you got to declare losses. How about that? So my thing is, I warned you. That's all I can say is I warned you. But that's the story right now for oil. That's the story. So the question that some people are going to say is, well, where should I be putting my money? Now, I will say it like this. If you're still paying student loans, you really, really need to focus on paying off your student loans. And the reason why is because any money that you do manage to somehow earn as certain stocks do appreciate in value, you're just going to end up getting eaten up by the high interest that's behind those student loans. Or the same thing goes for credit debt. You know, the interest is going to cost you so much that you're going to end up with a lot of your losses just getting eaten up by the interest payments alone on this high interest credit card debt and this high interest student loan debt. So if you have student loan debt or credit card debt, you need to pay that shit off. You need to pay it off. Me personally, as you know, I have an 850 credit score I'm extremely proud of. I say it every freaking time. I check anytime I hear somebody say the word credit, I pull out my phone and show them my credit score. Why? Because that's how proud I am of my credit score. It's a perfect, flawless credit score. I don't even think the Queen of England has a credit score that high. I'm pretty sure these presidents don't. But in any event, my bottom line is, it's like, the only way that you can spend your money and get anything in return is basically by using credit cards, or by using some type of rewards-based credit card, or some type of travel credit card. That's like the only way you can do it. The returns that they give you are between 1% and 3%, which is obviously a lot higher than the banks are giving you to save your money. But I'm talking about making purchases you normally would have made anyway. I'm talking about the stuff that you buy every day: food, gasoline, home heating oil and home heating gas, toiletries, whatever it is. The smartest thing to do is to limit your spending as much as possible, but you spend on a credit card to purchase the things that you were normally going to have to purchase anyway. Now, I'm not telling you you can't live. I'm not telling you you can't go to the movies. I'm not telling you you can't take your wife to dinner. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it's best to use a credit card, and it's best to pay it off immediately. I've kind of given that advice thousands of times, but I just keep saying it because I repeat myself like a record. So again, this is my index, Mangoat. So basically, these are companies that have mostly subscriber bases that are loyal. So Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Tesla, Google, Amazon, everybody who buys a Tesla, those people, you can bet, are going to be Tesla members. They'll have a Tesla card of some type, and they're subscribed to Tesla. So those people, that's a loyal fan base. The same thing goes for Apple. Anybody who's an Apple iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, anybody who's in the Apple ecosystem, those become loyal subscribers. In fact, somebody I know recently actually upgraded to an iPhone from one of those shitty Android phones. And, obviously Android is part of Google down here. They have their own built-in subscriber base. The only thing about it is these stocks have grown so much that without stock splits or without dividend payments, my guess is Amazon and Google are going to probably end up just like Berkshire Hathaway. They're going to end up growing to be massive valuations, possibly over a long period of time. But that's assuming that they don't do any stock splits or anything. And I really don't think they're going to do any, because I think that's what they're aiming for. I think they're going to be just like Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, which is why I purchased, Berkshire Hathaway B shares in March, and then I bought a little bit more later. But in March, when everything crashed, I was forcing money into as many stocks as I could, They don't pay a dividend, but the thing about it is if Berkshire B even performs half as well as Berkshire A, I mean, I could be a millionaire very, very easily and many times over. So we'll worry about that when the bridge comes to it. But the other stocks that I've always told you to focus on are dividend-paying stocks in companies that you know, the so-called blue chip companies. AT&T, Sunoco, Verizon, ExxonMobil, BP, Chevron, Shell, Investors Bank, Capital One, JP Morgan, AIG, Ford, Wells Fargo. Regardless what the market looks like now, you have to remember, people still need stuff. And these companies make the stuff they need. Whether it's getting T-Mobile phones for their children who don't deserve them, or whether it's buying, I don't know, a new car because they need a new car or something. Or this, what, every single year you've got a bunch of people turning 18, and a chunk of those are getting new cars. Not all of them, because a lot of them are drowning in student loan debt. So the point is, the blue chip companies that you know, that make products that you know other people like, Nike sneakers, so forth and so on, these are the companies you need to be a part of. These are the companies that you want to own stock in these companies. These companies ain't going nowhere. Microsoft ain't going nowhere. Apple ain't going nowhere. Nvidia has already proven that even during a recession, that they are recession proof when it comes to these semiconductors and GPUs. It's like, you have to understand, the future right now, the liberals are trying to force us into electric cars. These electric cars are highly computerized. They require lots and lots of microchips. They require a lot of semiconductor silicon. And the reality is, somebody's got to make this stuff. So these companies are growing simply because of these semiconductors. These computer companies are growing. And the question is, are you going to be in on it? How are you going to get in on it? Are you going to stay in on it? Are you going to hold them for a while? What are you going to do? And the thing about it is, you can't go wrong simply because these companies have already proven, just by looking at their, I mean, if you look at their performance during the worst possible time that they'd have to perform during this recession, during COVID, these companies have proven that they can perform even under those situations. And that is what you're looking for. You're looking for a recession-proof resilience. There are certain companies that, even in a recession, they're not going they're not going anywhere. They're just not going anywhere. So that's what we're looking for. That's what you should be looking for. That's the reality. That's what you should be looking for. So basically, I didn't really feel that I needed to make this too long. So I'm going to end it with this. For people who are worried about their U.S. dollars and the money that they have in U.S. dollars, for people who are worried about that money, some investors might recommend that you consider going into Forex. Now, I've never really been so much into because, there's a lot of scams online. And the thing about it is, you have to have a Forex broker that you can trust. When you hear Forex, you usually hear it because there's like a scammer online and they're trying to get you to sign up with them. And for the most part, those are not the people you should trust, especially if they're soliciting you in emails. What you want to get into is you want to get into foreign dividend-paying stocks so that whatever the stock is that you're buying, at least these companies are paying you something back for it. And the reason why is because if you're worried about the U.S. dollar possibly declining or there being a dollar crisis, foreign stocks are the place to be. And then the question, of course, you're going to ask me is, what foreign stock should I go into? So what I did was I pulled up a list of foreign dividend-paying stocks. Where is it? Okay. And these are some of the better foreign dividend-paying stocks like Invesco, QQQ Trust. I will say this, a lot of these companies are Chinese companies. And I will say something about some of the Chinese companies. The problem with China is that because they have less regulation to start businesses, on the one hand, it's actually freer and it's easier to start a business than it is in America for many people, especially if you're a lowly person, you just graduated school or something. It's easier to start a business in China than it is in America. The problem is that just because you start a business doesn't mean that that's a good long-term business strategy or that it's going to be profitable long-term. And in some cases, some of these Chinese companies have basically been considered Ponzi schemes, no different than the IPOs that Reddit was pumping up, or no different than the IPOs that everybody was going gaga over, only to find out that they were basically pump and dump scams. And they were legal pump and dump scams because of the way they were done. So my thing is, there's a lot of foreign stocks, and you can go to dividend.com. At dividend.com, you can find the best ETFs, the best stocks, the highest payers, the highest yields. You can easily search these things. You can find them. Some of them you probably even recognize. And they're all over the world. Brazil, China, India, Australia. And you got to do some research on your own, because the thing about it is there may be certain things that you believe in that I don't care about. Like, for instance, I'm into aviation, so I own a lot of airline stocks since the crash. Because once they crashed, it was like I bought right in. And I got them so low that when they started to come back, specifically Boeing, when they started to come back, I saw myself gaining and gaining and gaining money to the point where even when we have these minor crashes, which has basically happened every single month for the last couple of months, I've never been in the red simply because I've been so high in the green. I may lose a couple of dollars, but I never lost my initial investment. So what some people do is they say, yeah, well, you should sell so that you get back your initial investment, and then you should just hold on to the rest and let that appreciate. That is actually a pretty good strategy to sell off the frosting and keep the cake. You know, that's a pretty good strategy. But some people do it differently. And I respect how you invest. I respect how you trade. However, if you're one of these people who's putting your money into this garbage, this crypto shit, I don't respect the way you trade. I'm sorry, I just don't. This is probably the worst gambling mechanism I've ever seen. I remember arguing with all these morons about Cardano and Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, and I remember arguing with these people. I was like, listen, this shit ain't going nowhere. What are you doing? And these people, and the sad thing is, they didn't get into it early enough so that they could actually benefit from the pump and dump. They got into it late enough so that they ended up losing money. And that's the thing that bothers me. It's like, especially people I know, like if you're one of my clients or if I know you, if you come to me on some bullshit like, oh yeah, I want to invest in GameStop, it's like the first thing I'm going to tell you is no, don't do it. But the problem is there's too many people who don't take that kind of telling, and they accuse you, oh yeah, well you're just full of FOMO. You've got fear of missing out. And I'm saying, no. It's not that I'm afraid of missing out. I'm afraid that you're going to take my advice and lose all your fucking money. And that's not the same thing as FOMO. Oh yeah. Well, you're just spreading misunderstandings and stuff. You don't understand how Bitcoin works. You don't understand. And I'm like, listen, none of this shit has any intrinsic value. At this point, there's over 17,000 cryptocurrencies. So if a new person comes in, they're not going to invest in the thing that's already sky high. They're going to go into the things that are cheap because they feel index biased. They can get more for their money. It's like, why should I buy a watermelon when I can buy 1,000 grapes for the same price? It's like, it's index biased. They'd rather have more for their money, even if more for their money still relates to there being zero intrinsic value and a value of zero. These people have run so many of these goddamn scams, from Safe Moon to Safe Mars. Scams that were so obvious that they wouldn't even allow you to trade this shit on Coinbase. Now you see them trying to run in circles, trying to figure out what to do about the money they've lost in Ripple. Even when Ripple was $1, these losers were still putting money into it. And I was like, guys, guess what? If the government's going up against Ripple, chances are if you put money into it, that money's going to disappear and the government's going to blame you. And then they're going to ask you, well, wait a minute. We told you you're not allowed to buy this shit, so why did you buy it and how did you buy it? So now you've technically committed a crime because you went around them to do something that they told you not to do because you just felt so cool about yourself. So my thing is, when the tax man rapes your ass this April, good for you. You earned it. When you have to declare all your losses and even the gains, some of you may have made gains, and you have to declare all that, and I guarantee you, if you try to lie and you try to say, oh, I didn't make no money on crypto and I didn't trade no crypto, but you did, the government's going to come for you. And they're going to come for you just like they did for Al Capone. Despite killing cops, children, men and women, what they put Al Capone in jail for was tax evasion because the government don't play. It's like as long as you declare your taxes, part of the government, they don't give a fuck what you do. They don't care if you're a drug dealer. They don't care if you're a prostitute. But the second you stop paying them taxes and you stop declaring, they come and knock on your door. So if you want to be the smart ass who say, oh yeah, well I didn't trade in Safe Mars, I didn't make no money in Dogecoin, I didn't do that. And they bring you the ledger right up to your face and they take your head and slam it into the desk just like Batman did to the Joker. I hope that you get it on videotape because I'd love to get a clip of that. And I'll be laughing my ass off. So bottom line is, if you're going to invest in real product. Invest in real companies. Invest in something with a future. Oil stock is fine. Banks are fine. Even travel. For the long term, those are fine. Those are real industries with real people working. What those aren't is some fucking computer nerd in Russia with a house full of video cards and cell phones creating and mining cryptocurrency. If you're investing in that, then you're gambling. I will say this. There's a difference between gambling on crypto and investing in stock. If you're getting a dividend from something, and I'm not talking about those fake-ass crypto dividends where you have some company trying to pay you small amounts of money to put more and more of your money in. That's a Ponzi scheme. What I'm saying is when you're talking about these companies that do pay dividends and pay, they're not returns so ridiculously high that you know something's wrong. But when you're talking about NVIDIA paying a 0.07% dividend, which is slightly higher than the bank's rate of return and interest, or when you're talking about GE or you're talking about Logitech, we know who these people are. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to invest, when you use the word invest, don't use that shit when you talk about cryptocurrency because that's not investing. That's gambling. Gambling. So my thing is, if you really want to invest, you needed to get yourself some of these banks, some of this oil. You need to get yourself some of these industries and travel. I tried to tell you all about lithium mining of lithium-ion batteries. I tried to tell you all about the mining stocks, but some people, no, we going to the moon. We going to buy GameStop. We going to buy AMC. No, I'm going to buy Dogecoin. Dogecoin's going to $1. Shiba Inu's going to a penny. It's going to a penny. We're going to have a yacht party for Shiba Inu. It's going to a penny. It's going Super Saiyan! I've gotten to the point where I can't even bother arguing with these people anymore. I'll tell you what, guys. While you're having your yacht party for Shiba Inu going Super Saiyan to a penny, I'm going to be in Maldives in exactly 74 days from now. I'm going to be in Dubai. I'm going to be sitting next to one of those sheikhs with the turban and the white clothes. And we're just going to be sitting on the plane laughing at all of these people who lost all their goddamn money on Coinbase. We're going to be on the Emirates. Where is it? I need some photos. Emirates A380 business class. We're going to be sitting on this plane at 35,000 feet. And we're going to be burning a lot of fuel. And we are going to be laughing. You see this guy right here? That's me. And you see that chick right there? That's her. And we are going to be toasting the mimosas. And we're going to be laughing at everybody who lost all their money in GameStop this year. You see this lady? I'm going to be standing right next to the bar. And I'll be talking to her. I'll be like, hey, honey, how you doing? What's your name? Oh, your name is Jamila? Oh, you Algerian? Nice to meet you. How you doing? Hey, Jamila, have you ever invested in Bitcoin? Good for you. I'm glad you did. But let me tell you something. If you want to use your money properly, what you need to do is buy some oil stock. Because you know what this plane uses in order to take off, in order to fly, in order to land? You know what, Jamila? It uses oil. She's going to think I'm so sexy. She's probably going to want to go in the bathroom and have some sex. But we're going to be laughing. Look at this. I'm going to be sitting in this chair right here. No, in fact, I'm not going to sit in the middle. I'm going to have my seat. Let me see which seat that I want. I want the seat right next to the window, just like this. Because here's the problem. And I experienced this on Philippine Airlines. When you sit right here next to the window, it's a perfect seat because this is next to you and nobody, you got a mini bar right there. Nobody can walk right up on you. The other seat is exposed to the aisle. I don't want nobody bumping up on me like when she's bringing the food through. I don't want her bumping me with her tray cart. I don't want nobody bumping on me. I'm gonna be sitting right next to one of these windows, and I'm gonna have two windows to myself. Everybody in economy is gonna be squeezed up in there, even though the A380 is a really big plane. We're gonna be having a great time. We'll be sitting next to this chick right here while she's eating her salad and her chicken, and we're gonna be having a great time. We're gonna be laughing at everybody who wasted their money on GameStop. That's what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna make it a point that when I make the videos of the flight, that I'm going to start up a conversation specifically about cryptocurrency. And I'm going to see which one of these people want to engage me in that conversation. I'm going to get that on tape. I'm going to make that a point to talk about Reddit and talk about all people lost their money. Because if they didn't listen to me, if they weren't oil man, and they didn't listen to me, they lost their money. Good for them. And what are we going to do? We're going to be watching TV the whole time. We're going to have our feet up, and we're going to be watching TV. And this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about. We got the mini bar, and I'm going to have my phone plugged in. I'm just going to be editing videos while I'm on the plane when I'm not sleeping. But I'm going to get heavily drunk. I'm going to be drinking up all their liquor, and I'm going to drink up as much liquor as possible because it's all you can drink for that whole 12 and a half hours plus the 2-hour layover plus the 4 hours and 30 minutes to Maldives. I'm going to be drinking a lot. And I'm going to get so drunk that the pilots are going to have to come back there and say, excuse me, sir, is everything okay? And I'll be like, yes, bring me more wine. Bring me more wine. That's what I'm saying. So this is how I do it. Now, y'all don't know nothing about this because you're busy investing in Dogecoin. And as far as I know, you haven't bought no Lamborghini yet. As far as I know, you haven't bought no mansion yet out of the Dogecoins. Because if you listen to me, this could have been you this year, but 74 days from now, this is where I'm going to be. And you got to tune in because you got to see that video just to make sure that I was telling the truth. 74 days from now, April 14th, 15th, all the way to the 22nd, we're going to be doing it luxury travel, y'all. Luxury travel. That's what I'm talking about. So this is the reason why, of all of it, somebody told me, you know what, your advice is good, but you're boring. So I can't believe somebody told me that my advice is boring. But listen, guys, making money is not supposed to be an exciting thing. Sitting behind a computer watching numbers is not exciting. What's exciting is when I'm standing here talking to Jamila, sitting at this seat right here with the chick with her shoes off and the mimosa in her hand, and she's got her feet in my lap. That's the exciting part, not counting the money. See, that's boring. This is exciting. But that's what we're gonna do, and wait, let me throw these up. Let me throw up the Maldives photos. What is that place? Maldives, Mali. Yeah, this is where we're going, guys. This is where we're going. Just like the trip to Seychelles, this is where we're going. We're going to Maldives. Look at this shit right here. Look at this. I don't know what BML stands for, but I think I want to go there. I'm pretty sure that's a mosque. I don't think I want to go there. But traders, I don't know what that is, but I might go there. I think I might get one of these boats and do something. I might rent a canoe or some shit. I'm not really a boat person, but I want to do some of these things Because what you can do is you can leave Mali and you can go to the private island. You can walk along the bungalows and this, that, and other. Because this place is really stretched out and everything. I think I might do the bungalows for maybe 1 or 2 nights or something. But what I'm not going to do is talk about how much money I lost in Dogecoin. That's what I'm not going to do. Oh, they have a Sony building. I think I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to all of the cool buildings. Anything that's a cool building, I'm going to. That's exactly right. All that time. Oh, look at her. Look at her. We're going to be swimming with her and the sharks and shit. But there's not really any sharks there because the water, I think, is not deep enough for that in these areas. We're going to be walking on the beach with some chicks. Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. But my question is this. All of y'all who invested in, I don't know, Dodgelon Mars and Shiba Inu and XRP and Anchor and all that stuff, where are you going for Easter break? Where are you going for spring break? I hope it's exciting.